How's it going, folks, and welcome back to Atalanta. Today we have a transfer special. That means that in the thumbnail in the top corner I've put the bright transfer special box, and as a result this video will get twice as many views because apparently people like to watch transfer specials or something. What I will say is, if you have fallen behind with the series and you've clicked on this one because you thought, I like transfers, go watch yesterday's episode. The title, the whole season, went down to the final minutes on the final day. Nothing was settled, nothing was decided. There was drama, there was yogurt, there was tears, there was lots of fun. And I recommend watching it. There's a link to the series playlist. I'll put it at the top of the description. Series playlist, go catch up if you've fallen behind. Maybe you just come every summer for the transfer specials. Either way, the good news for you transfer-hungry viewers is I've come back a little later than I planned. I've sold a lot of players. We've got a bank balance of 116 million, a transfer budget of 85 million pounds. And today, we're hopefully going to spend a whole lot of it. Let's do this. Today is episode number 17 of our Atalanta Let's Play. We are heading into season 3, and well, if you watched last episode, you know what happened. We managed to win the league on the final day, and we got very lucky. We won it by 1 point. So, well, we're going to try and make it a slightly more convincing title win this year, but I do think it's going to be difficult. You can see the updated media prediction is already in. Right now, before a football has been kicked, before any transfer business has been done, we're actually now 5th favourites. When we ticked over the season a week ago, we were the 4th favourites. It has updated since. Apparently, the bookies don't really rate us. And I have a sneaking suspicion that the reason we've dropped is because of some sales. Now, we have made some pretty big sales. Unfortunately, a few of them happened before the whole season ticking over thing. So they show in last season's transfer. So we're going to have to go back a year to look at these. But 2 players have left us in terms of first team players since you were last here. The first, Juan Muso. He was our starting goalkeeper season 1 last year. Marco took over. We decided we liked polos and he was amazing for us. And at 23 years old, this man, he is going to be our goalkeeper for the foreseeable future. In the end, we got an offer for Muso from Leicester. It was £20 million, which for a player who only had a year left on his contract, hadn't been playing a lot, seemed like some good money. The other player we've sold might come as a little bit of a shock, but I've decided to sell Sandri. Sandri, a good player with some potential. We signed him a couple of years ago for 13 million. Really wasn't putting in the best of numbers this year. And obviously, over the course of the season, we picked up Ravella. And when I compare the two of them, I feel like they fulfill a pretty similar role within the team. But Ravella, despite being a year older, is just a significantly better footballer. And with Sandri being injury-prone, missing the tail end of this year with a sports hernia, the injury proneness has scared me, and the lack of development as well, to be honest. It's just forced my hand a little bit. Decided to cash in on him. At the end of the day, it's still £24 million made. So Muso and Sandri leaving for a combined 44 million. That's some pretty good money, but it's not the only sale because Darun has left the building. We have sold him to Napoli. I am selling a lot of our okay players to league rivals, but at the end of the day, he's 32 years old. He was a squad player this year, but he really didn't play that much for us in the end. Only 9 matches played. Napoli showed some interest in him, and to be honest, at £11 million, whilst it's not the craziest sum of money, it's money that allows us to reinvest. It's money that, as well you can see from our transfer budget, has pumped the value up a little bit. Although, as you might spot here, I have already had the wage budget get consumed quite quickly. That because I've tied down all our best players onto longer term deals. Raspadori on £120,000 a week. That kind of hurts a little bit to say aloud, but I think he's kind of worth it. It seems to have, at least for now, deterred some of the interest that was being shown in him towards the tail end of the season. Elsewhere, the likes of DeMarco, Soleil, Luca have all signed new deals. Worth noting, Luca has signed a 5-year contract, but it's got an optional 3-year extension. So it's basically an 8-year contract. He's basically here forever. I'm quite glad about that. If you stuck around to the end of last episode, you probably heard me talk a bit about the plan to go more Italian. I have managed in Serie A before. I've never won the Champions League as a Serie A club. So that's the first thing that I desperately want to do with this team. But my long-term vision for, say, in the next 4 or 5 seasons is to win Serie A with a team that is almost entirely Italian. And I say almost entirely Italian because in the back of my mind, I'm kind of conscious of the fact that we've got some pretty exciting players that I would like to keep around. Players like Arsene Zakhayan, a player who I've really not seen develop that amazingly in any of my save games, although I know he is a really good player in game. I feel like I've really enjoyed using him this year. He's been a really, really useful player for us to have. So I don't really want to lose him. Worth noting, he will technically become Italian in 4 years. So if we're going for it in 4 or 5 years' time, I guess it counts. And of course, if we just sort the team by potential here, you can see the players highlighted are the Italian players. The future is bright here. We've got this young Italian team. I genuinely believe we can, well, just create an Italian super team. I want half my club team to be in the Italian national team in a few years. But of course, there's the likes of Sesko and Soleil, who, we might look to keep around. I'm not entirely decided yet on how full-blown Italian I want to go just yet, but it's in my plans. And in terms of this season's transfer window, I think a lot of my decision-making is going to be dictated around that. Players like Freuler, Hatterbohr, maybe going to look to move on. Players like Renato Sanchez and Mailer, I may keep. I mean, there's been some interest in Mailer from some pretty big clubs, and his value is actually not insignificant anymore. One thing that really has changed, actually, over the last year, with us playing in Champions League football, and of course the domestic success we've had, is player reps gone up, team reps gone up, some of the wages of players have gone up as well, and as a result of all of that, we are in a position where we can sell some players for some significant money. Of course, you've seen transfer business I've done so far. That's been more players on the fringes. Players like Sandri and Muso, they weren't playing that much anyway, but there definitely is the option to kind of go with a one-in, one-out methodology in terms of maybe getting rid of some of the more valuable non-Italian players and then looking to sign some Italian players ourselves. So you're here for some transfers. Let's talk about transfers. At the moment, we are in a position where we've had 3 players go out. Sekou Koita, it looks like he's about to leave to go to Bochum. We have too many strikers. Debatably, with Sesko arriving and Notto returning from his loan. Of course, we signed this guy last year for £7 million. I need to get him first team football. With those two arriving, I'm looking at Guerri and I'm looking at Fabio Silva thinking, one of you might have to go. I'm a bit disappointed that Fabio Silva's value hasn't gone up more. Of course, we signed him for £8 million. So we look like we could be in a position to sell him on for a bit of money. The other player who I was kind of hoping to get rid of, who has had interest in him, is Guerri. There's some big teams looking at him, including Lyon, where he's homegrown at. One minor issue, I made a promise not to sell him, and I'll be honest, I just shouldn't have done it. So that might be something we have to deal with this year. Anyway, I think that sets the scene. It's time to get some wheeling and dealing done. I think I still want to try and maybe offer out 1 or 2 more players who I'm not entirely sure have a long-term future at the club. But if we just look at the finances, we probably should be spending some of it. With all the new contracts that have been signed, we are over the wage budget. So I'm going to rejig it slightly. But you can see here, with room to manoeuvre, we've still got £74 million in the bank. So I think it's time to go for a shopping spree, don't you? Now, in preparation for today, one thing I have already done is gone through all the players who have at least partially Italian nationality, an age of at most 23, and scouted most of them. There's a couple of players here who it looks like slipped through the cracks. We should probably scout them too. But for the most point, we've got pretty comprehensive knowledge now of Italian players. Of course, I've gone through all the Italian national youth teams looking around. And if we just sort things by ability, you can kind of see what's available. Now, we probably don't need any more strikers. So Moise Kean, whilst he's top of the list, I'm not really looking at him. But actually, the next player in this list is a really interesting one. It's Eunice Musa, who I had no idea was part Italian, but he is, so that is an interesting option for us. And the reason that I think he could be a good option is he is a right-sided player who can play at centre mid or right mid. Right now, our right mid is Mailer, who is good, but at 26, he's not really improved. I don't feel like since we joined the club, he's kind of the same player that we started with. Musa, by comparison, is a better option. Obviously, the downside with Musa is we can't move back to wing-backs if we were to sign him to play out on the right-hand side. But he is a net improvement overall. And Mailer has a pretty high value with Chelsea interested in him. So I'm going to be a bit cheeky here and hope this doesn't blow up in my face. I'm actually going to offer Mailer out for 50 million. My hope and dream is that we get that kind of money for him and then I will sign Musa. Now, in previous seasons, I probably would have been a bit more lukewarm on Musa as our right mid option just because he can't play right wing back. But more and more as this season went on, I stopped dropping the wide players deeper. I felt like we really sacrificed a lot of our attacking potency. So much of our play comes through our wide attacking mids. I mean, Mailer last year, I think, had 15 assists to his name. And I do wonder if, you know, just playing with more natural midfielders, I suppose, as opposed to wing-backs who have been moved up the pitch. Someone like Musa might even be able to eclipse Mailer's numbers. So, yeah, we're going to see if Chelsea bid on him. Musa is then an option. If we just quickly remove all the non-Italian players from our team, the obvious position is the defence, where we're lacking in Italians. But we have got Scalvini, and we have also got somewhere down here, Wisdom Ame. But these two guys, players who I don't want to rush into the first team, but I definitely think can do a job for us. We don't have a left-footed centre-back. I feel like Scalvini is going to be a very good wide centre-back option. I know he's lacking a little bit in his crossing, but with the exception of that and maybe his off the ball, he's still a very, very good player for this role. And at 19, he's going to get better. I'm kind of happy to show a bit of patience in him. Wisdom Ame, never going to be a wide centre-back. He's never going to be this super technical centre-back, but I feel like as kind of the rock in the middle, he is going to be able to do the business. He has improved a lot. And as kind of part of our plan, I suppose, for the next few seasons, I don't want to ruin his chances of getting first-team football. That said, they are the only two defenders in terms of centre-backs I have in my team who are Italian. So I have had a little bit of a look at Italian centre-backs who are left-footed because there's a gap in our team potentially. Now, Papetti isn't left-footed, but could be an interesting option. He was signed by Dortmund for Brescia for 3.7 million year one. Kind of regret not going in for him myself. So he's maybe an option there. But the other player who's really jumped out at me is Mattia Vitti. This guy's 21 years old, so he's not as young as Scalvini and Wisdom Ame, but he is a very, very good player. And perhaps most importantly, he is left-footed. You can see here as a wide centre-back, he's kind of a jack of most trades, master of none. I don't know. I don't love him as an option, but he does appear to be probably the best option out there. Now, naturally, with our focus on Italian players, there's going to be certain positions we maybe can't find the ideal players for. Maybe the centre-back position is going to be one of those. Vitti is a player who I'm going to have my eye on. I don't feel like I need to buy him now, especially with our current centre-back options. But in the coming years, he's the kind of player that you might make a move for, especially if he just can't break into the Arsenal team. I think he could end up being the best option out there for, well, the left centre-back role in our team. I have had a little look at partially Italian players who are transfer listed. There really aren't that many interesting options. One thing I haven't actually checked yet is players with contracts expiring in 1 year. I'm kind of curious to see what's available here. Probably not on the older side of things, but maybe there's a few players a little younger, kind of yet to hit their prime, who are going to be options. Or from the looks of it, maybe there aren't going to be any good Italian options. Okay, bad news. Mailer didn't like being offered out, but I'm going to take a bit of a gamble and try and force him out. I don't think he's going to be very happy about it, but given the fact Chelsea are interested, I'm really hoping they make an offer for him. Otherwise, I have just put myself in a bit of a pickle. This is not ideal. The European Under-21 Championships have been going on. Unfortunately, we don't have any players in the starting 11, but if we just view the award, you can see there are 5 Italians on the bench of the Dream Team for the Under-21s. They are all contracted to us. So, yeah, I guess that's a sign that things for the future are going to plan. Also worth mentioning, Guerri's up there. I'm hoping that he's put himself in the shop window this championship, and it's going to make him maybe slightly easier to sell, even if I am going to be breaking a promise I made to him. We're already a week into the transfer special, and I'm getting a bit of deja vu, where there's players that have got loads of people wanting them, but those teams that actually want the players aren't really making bids on them, which leaves me in a bit of a frustrating situation, because I don't really want to sign people on the assumption I'm going to get rid of players that I might not be able to get rid of. Equally, I don't want to sit around here not spending any money. Good news for us is it's not a Winter World Cup year, so the first game of the season is not until right at the end of August. We have one game before the transfer window slams shut on deadline day. So unlike last year where we were kicking off the season in mid-July, that's less of a worry this year. That said, I don't want to be waiting too late in the window. The opportunity to maybe sign some of the Italian players I'm looking at might come and go. One player who I have had a little bit of interest in is Samuele Ricci. I think it's Ricky rather than Ricci. Someone recently in a YouTube comment explained how CC in Italian, the two letters, can be a ch or a k depending on the letters. They did write an explanation of the rules behind which is used when. I'd like to apologise to them. I didn't remember the rules. It was quite intensive learning. I don't speak Italian. We'll go with Ricky. If I'm wrong, Sorry. But anyway, to circle back to the original point, I do like this man as an option. He is a very, very good centre mid. He's kind of cut from a similar cloth, I feel like, to Renato Sanchez. If we just compare the two of them here. Can I compare them, Football Manager? Where is he? Ricky, he's at the bottom. I was looking at Samuele. You can see here, he's kind of cut from a similar cloth. Not perhaps quite as physical or as good going forward, but at 21 years old, he still looks like a pretty good option at centre mid. Maybe he's a player who could add a little bit of depth. Maybe he ends up being the backup option to Pessina, for example, whereas the other centre mid position is kind of Zakhayan and Renato Sanchez battling it out. Of course, we have got a few other Italian centre mid options. Grassi is here. He's just here because he's homegrown at club. He's not actually very good. The other man we've got is Esposito, who last year was out on loan and the year before that was out on loan. I kind of look at him this year and think, yeah, you'll do as kind of a fifth, sixth choice centre mid. Of course, with a 12-player bench, there's a few options, I suppose, to use him for. He can really be the emergency backup who covers all the roles. Okay, Koita is leaving. 5.5 million stings a little bit. Kind of a bit disappointed we couldn't get more money for him. But his guide price, I think, was only up to 3 million. So to be honest, I feel like we're somewhat lucky to get the money that we got. An uncharacteristically bad buy. I'll hold up my hand in a minute. I spent 11 million on him. To be fair, he got us 10 goals in 25, but not sure that justifies the £6 million loss we're going to make on him. Good news, I've had an offer for one of my strikers. Bad news, it's from Dortmund, and they've offered me 6.75 million for Fabio Silva, who I signed for over 8 million. So quite why they think I'd ever take that offer, I don't know. I'm going to reject it. I feel like I've backed myself into a little bit of a corner here because I've got a big squad and I don't really want to sign players without moving anyone else on first. We've been here before with this problem, you might recall. But something that I did was I obviously got a lot of new players signing new contracts. You can see this column here. This is the date at which players signed new deals. So everyone from DeMarco upwards here, players who are part of the first team, signed deals recently. And I do wonder if players like Badiashile and Saleh maybe could have been some of the players that I would have been able to move on. Now, whether or not I would have wanted to move them on, I suppose, is another question. I have looked at selling Mailer. In fact, I offered him out for an unspecified amount. And I got some really pitiful offers. His value, if we just look, is... I'm going to auto-size this column. Please don't break everything. Okay, we're fine. Does anyone else get nervous changing these columns? They always break. But yeah, Mailer's value is between 46 and 58 million. So we'll offer him out unspecified, and you'll kind of see the problem I have as we hit continue here. We'll probably get some offers. We have had some offers. Inter have offered £26 million locked in. Liverpool have offered £18 million locked in. That is less than half what his kind of guide price is. Why I'd ever sell him at that price, I'm not entirely sure. I suppose the only reason I would sell him at that price is so that I could bring in a right midfielder like Musa and have a spot free for him. There is kind of part of me that maybe is just considering signing Musa anyway. We could play him at centre mid a bit for season 1, see how he gets on there. He may even play at right mid ahead of Mailer a little bit. Maybe it opens up the opportunity to move on Hattabor, who, of course, at the moment is kind of the backup right-sided player. Apparently, there is some interest in him, although I've not had any transfer offers yet. You know what? I feel like we need to make some moves. And Musa would be a pretty, I feel like, statement signing. At 20 years old, he really fits into the vision. I'm going to go a bit lower than the guide price to start and start at 50 million. They've asked for 72. Try just bid 58. They want a bit more. Can we do 60? We can do 60. 6 million for Musa. I do feel like with this change in transfer strategy and focusing on Italian players, we are going to be looking at signing, one or two big names every year, as opposed to a load of players. Ricky is another player who I am curious about. Obviously, I've already talked about him a little bit here in green. He doesn't quite have the same versatility, but his kind of guide price makes him seem on the face of it like an appealing option. He'd probably cost us in the region of 40 million to pick in. He's the kind of player where if maybe an offer came in for Renato Sanchez or I could move on the likes of Freuler, I'd maybe look to bring him in. Worth noting, Freuler is currently unhappy. I have been trying to sell him. I'll try and offer him out again. No one is bidding on Freuler. No one. Could I say that? We've had a bid for... Okay, I take it all back. Last time I offered him out, nothing happened. This time, Verona have made a bid. It's actually a surprisingly reasonable offer. So... I think I'm going to take them up on it. I mean, it's not a load of money, but ultimately it's freeing up a squad spot. And whilst he is a valuable leader in the dressing room, and in real life, I know he is a bit of the kind of heart of Atalanta. I say that in the present tense. He has, of course, in real life moved to Nottingham Forest. But within our team, he has just dropped down the pecking order. He doesn't really hold that same influence. If we can get that accepted, I think that's probably worth it. Musa on the flip side, looks like he's got some pretty lofty goals. I'm happy to make him an important player. I'm probably happy to offer him in the region of 90k, although I'm going to try and knock it down a little bit to start. And, well, apparently I could have knocked it down to more. £80,000 he has accepted. Now, I do like Musa as a signing. I think he's a really, really big upgrade at right mid. But also, of course, the fact he can play at centre mid and he can also play on the left if needed is kind of valuable. He's homegrown at club. And also, look at this. Marketability, an extra $1 million a year. Doesn't really help offset the fact that we're looking at signing him for 60 million, all that much. But yeah, I think he'd be a pretty good option. And I think of all the areas of the pitch, I think right mid is perhaps the one area where I do have a little bit of a question mark. Hateboer as backup, I don't necessarily love. When I look at the defence, when I look at the attack, when I even look at kind of some of the centre mid and left mid options, I'm pretty happy. So I feel like Musa kind of ticks off a big problem area for me. Now, I might live to regret this, but Papetti's had an offer made for him by Eintracht Frankfurt of 11 million. And I just feel like at 21 years old, for an Italian centre-back who's this good, maybe they're worth signing for 11 million. Kind of when I look at our centre-back options, we've got Romero, Badiashile, Ame Saleh, and also Scalvini. And then the kind of one player who I'm not really sold on is Nagalo. He's 20 years old. Obviously, we brought him in for like 2.5 million. It was a really cheap offer. And I feel like Papetti would just be a straight upgrade on him. And whilst it's 11 million, we can afford 11 million. And it will help us work towards kind of, getting more Italian players into the team. So I think with that in mind, I'm going to try and sign him. I don't necessarily think he's the perfect fit for our system in terms of wide centre-backs, but I feel like for the kind of price that is being commanded, you're going to struggle to get a better player. I noticed there Dortmund wanted to sneak in a buyback clause, which we've removed. But £12 million in the end, I think is good. I will probably now look to move on Nagalo, if possible. We signed him for 2.5 million. He played 12 games. He played fine in them, to be honest, but I think there's maybe an opportunity to bring in Papetti and also sell on Nagalo for somebody to offset that. It would just make logical sense. I'm hoping that this offer is going to be an offer for him. It is. Fiorentina have offered 3.8 million and 30% of any profit. It's a little lower than I wanted, but I think if we are going to sign Papetti, I'll probably go for it. I think what I'll do with the Nagalo deal is I won't confirm it until Papetti definitely signs for us, because there is a little bit of interest in him. But you can see here, looking at Papetti's demands and stuff, they're pretty reasonable. He knows he's going to be a more fringe player for us. So that makes the job of kind of offering him a contract a little bit easier. And although he's asking for kind of 30k, 40k, that really isn't that much. Within the context of our team now, that kind of £40,000 mark is kind of what I expect to pay for backup players. As a team that now really are going to be striving towards consistently qualifying for the Champions League and just kind of keeping a conveyor belt of Champions League money rolling on in for the foreseeable future. One player that you might have forgotten existed is Xerxes, another player we picked up around the same time as Koita, Season 1. We paid 4.8 million for him. Last year, he struggled in the third division of Italy, which doesn't really bode well because the whole point in that loan was to hopefully inflate his value a little bit. You can see I set an asking price of 4.7 million. I've had an offer. It's 3 million. It's not really as much as I was hoping for, but at 22 years old, again, I think a bit like Koita, we've just got to cut our losses. Elsewhere, Salcedo is another player down in the under-20s, another striker, a player who I still think could be good. I think he could be a late bloomer. I want to believe, I was going to say he could be the next Jamie Vardy. I feel like that's doing a bit of a disservice to both Jamie Vardy and Salcedo. Ultimately, he's played in Serie A his whole career, but never really been given chances. Last year, we loaned him out to Verona, and he didn't do amazing there. A couple of loan offers for him this year, both from teams in Serie C. There seems to be a weird thing in Football Manager this year where Serie C players, Serie C clubs love to loan Serie A players, even though they're probably too good for the third division, and the players are happy to go down and play at that level. I don't really understand why that happens, but at the moment, I think that's probably the best option for Salcedo. I'm just going to have to hope that unlike, Xerxes, he just has a season where he absolutely kills it at that lower level. Maybe he can develop a lot. Maybe he comes back to the team and becomes a useful 5th/6th choice striker for us. Apparently, Guerri is a Napoli target. I wish they'd make a pissing offer, the cowards. Buy him if you think he's worth 45 million. Bid 45 million. I will accept it. I can. You know what? I never do press conferences, but I'm going to say that they need to meet our valuation. Just buy him. Just make an offer. Tempt me. Try me. See if he's worth it. Freuler's now turned down Verona. I hate Freuler so much. Freuler, you are really, 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 really starting to get on my tits, mate. He's really starting to bother me. No one's going to bid on him now either, are they? We're going to be stuck with him. Also, ATALANTA. I don't know who this bloke is. Apparently he's in our youth team. He's not very good. We will sell him. Okay, this is interesting. AC Milan have made an offer for Nagalo. Of course, Fiorentina, we already accepted £3.8 million. Milan have offered a little bit less. I'm going to be cheeky here and ask for 5 million. I was too cheeky. Now he's going to be upset that I didn't let him go to Milan. You know what, DeMarco, solve this problem. I love DeMarco. He solves all my problems. Also, elsewhere, Papetti has had now an offer made for him by Frankfurt. Potential fee of 13 million. I'm going to hope that we can win him over and sign him. If I see confirmation that he's going to Frankfurt, I'm going to be annoyed. There is a small part of me that wants to up the offer on him. Let's see real quick. Did they accept the offer? I think they did accept the offer. Let's up the amount that we're paying him a little bit. Look, Papetti, mate, I'll give you 40k plus £2.5 million signing on fee. Don't tell me that I'm not a generous manager, folks. I am very liberal with our money. Papetti and Musa, the two players we're looking to sign in right now. Nagalo on his way out. Xerxes on his way out. I've got a couple of youngsters here who, they're okay, but they're never really going to play for us. Players like Piccoli here, he might be useful to keep around just because he's going to get homegrown at club, or rather, he is already homegrown at club, and we don't have homegrown at club players for Europe. At the same time, it's like a bid of almost like 1.5 million. I'm going to ask for 2 million. Bologna have accepted it. He can leave for that price. There's also Di Nipotti, who apparently has some potential. I keep getting offers for him, but they're really, really embarrassingly low. So you know what? To try and deter them, I'm going to set an asking price of 5 million and hope he doesn't get... He's got annoyed. Raspadori, solve the problem. Giancomo, I bloody love you. You, my friend, are helping me out right now. So Notto actually just had a bid for him from Bayer Leverkusen, and I just rejected it. They didn't even talk over it as I rejected it. I was so disgusted that they would look at him, one of our best young attacking options, and think they could get him for so little. He is going to be a useful player for us, especially with the the new end goal of having an Italian team. He's not available. Elsewhere, Rafael Louise is having a loan offer made for him. I really like the look of Rafael Louise. I think he could be great for us. Right now, though, I don't feel like we need to loan him out to get regular first-team football. And Cosmo, who just made this offer, who played in the league below us, only wanted him as an impact sub. If I was going to loan him out, I want him to be getting regular first-team football. Impact sub is not enough. Okay, finally, another sale. Xerxes is going to leave the club. We get £3.1 million. Everyone's a winner except us because we've lost some money. And just as that happens, we have the option to sign Musa. I believe with this fee, he is going to become a club record signing, but we've had our eye on him for a while. At 20 years old, I think he represents a really, really good option for us. I'm a little bit concerned we're overpaying, but given the fact that our pool of players that we're going to sign is a lot smaller now, with kind of, the goal of having more Italian players, we've got to accept that we might have to overpay in some certain areas of the pitch, and ultimately, he is a very, very good player. He's only 20 years old, and even if he doesn't improve from what he is right now, he is still just an incredible option for us to have. And I know there's going to be comments that say, Jack, you've paid too much here, but I don't care. I've hit accept. I've hit confirm. It's done. I can't go back on it now. And actually, good news, he's joined us, and now all our scouts have decided he's amazing and he's got loads more ability. I can't wait for the coach reports to kind of update in a few months once the kind of staff knowledge grows of him and us find out he has no potential actually. But at least right now, he's here, he's arrived, it's a club record signing, and the more I think about it, the more I should probably be just trying to sell Mailer at any price. Musa is just such a big upgrade on him in every area. I don't really have a need for him. Even if I got only like 25 million, it'd probably be worth it. Now, I can already hear the talk right now. People going, no, Jack, don't do it. But £26 million from Inter Milan? Apparently, Liverpool's his preferred destination, but they are paying £7 million less. So I'm not going to accept that. And whilst I don't love selling all our players to Inter Milan, and it has been a habit over the last few years, why change a habit? We beat them to the title last year. Musa comes in, you can see here, a big boost in shirt sales, an extra £1 million a year, a bit more club rep, a bit more world rep. We'll take that. If we sell Mailer for about 26 million, it's going to leave me with 46 million in the bank. Obviously, we've got the defending situation where Papetti might be coming in as Nagalo goes out. So that's like a bit more of net spend. But with the 40 million pounds we've got left over, I'm kind of tempted to look at more Italian options. If we just sort by kind of players who are just Italian that I've scouted, there's a few older options that I did look at various points, but I do like the option of going for Samuele Ricci. I think he could be a really, really good option for us. Great passing, good vision, can play that deeper role if needed. Probably wouldn't play over Ravella, but the fact he can kind of cover that role as well is nice. And I am wondering if I can sign Ricci, would that then open up the opportunity to try and force Freuler out? Maybe the 31-year-old will realise as I sign another young centre mid, his days are numbered and that he should really, really just go away and leave. In fact, you know what? Let's offer him out again. Is anyone going to bid on him? We'll transfer list him as well. Get out of the club, Freuler. Pumas have made an offer. Mexican club, 4.1 million. Well, that'll do me. Do you reckon he'll go to Mexico? Is Pumas near Cancun? Cancun's meant to be nice for holidaying and partying. He's 31. He should just go and holiday and party. Leave the club. Do us all a favour. Piss off. Also, all the players are back in training. Welcome back, everyone. We're back to play football. We're going to try and have a good showing in the Champions League. They love that. We want to win the Italian Cup this year. They love that. Everyone's happy. I'm happy. Oh, it feels like there's a new season coming around all of a sudden. So I'm looking at things now, and I'm also looking at my clock, which says I've been recording for 1 hour and 20 minutes. I'm going to need to edit this down so I can get it for you for, well, tomorrow as you watch it, Tuesday as you watch it. With that in mind, I think we might have to do a 2-part transfer special, which I don't love to do, but there's just quite a lot going on. I feel like we've done all the groundwork now. Obviously, we're looking at Nagalo, we're looking at Mailer. I'd love to know your thoughts on if I should be selling Mailer or not. Does it make sense to sell him to Inter? I think it probably does. I don't think he's that an amazing a player. Obviously, we've signed Muso, who I feel like is just a ready-made replacement anyway. But I don't know. Maybe you could sway my mind with a good argument if you think I should keep him. Obviously, if you think I should just sell him for 26 million, just confirm to me that I'm not thinking along the right lines. Elsewhere, would you be signing Papetti? And of course, if all these deals go through and we do have, in the region of £40 million, which of these players down here, these younger Italian players, would you be looking at? Is there anyone who I've been ignoring that I should be looking at? Anyone here that catches your eye? Let me know down in the comments. Answers on a postcard. Because we're taking a break midway through the transfers, you have a chance to influence them. I hope you have enjoyed today's video. I'll catch you again tomorrow for more. We've smashed our club record transfer. We're still trying to get rid of some players. I'm still not sure if I know what I'm doing with this team in terms of transfer window stuff. But what I do know is we're a good team in a good position, and we have Musa, a new record transfer who, well, put it this way, I'm quite excited to see what he can do. I will see you guys tomorrow for more, and until next time, take it easy. It's me, Jack, and I'll talk to you in a bit. I'm out.